There is a fine line between being a good parent capable of stimulating kids to be achievers and taking things too far. A study shows that crossing the line can have severe consequences for young individuals. Singapore's educational system is known for its quality and the fact that students acquire tons of knowledge and a high level of competence. In 2016, Singapore ranked first in science and math among all countries participating in an Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development survey. Students are high and parents also tend to be quite demanding when it comes to good grades and academic excellence. Parents have high expectations to the point of giving their children performance anxiety in school. This is one of the reasons why reports suggest Singaporean kids as young as 8 could be contemplating suicide. Mental health experts believe that unrealistic parental expectations could affect the cognitive and emotional development of children. Singapore psychiatrists, psychologists, and child counseling experts are not alone in this belief. New study shows just how detrimental the parental push for high grades could be. Sleep deprivation, eating disorders, excessive worrying, cheating, burnout, loss of interest in hobbies, and withdrawal from friends and family can be among the consequences of excess pressure. Teenage years represent the time when a child goes through mental and physical changes. The need to fit into society will grow along with their desire to be attractive or adequately academic. Parents are the backbones to help them through this time, and thus parental pressure may bring forth a breakdown. School is full of standardized tests and students are regularly asked to complete up to 4 or 5 hours of homework every night. This often causes parents to think they need to monitor their child's progress, preferably by including into their social life and peering over their shoulder while they study. Such high expectations and pressure may also cause the child to suffer blood pressure problems. They may feel increasingly tired and detached. They will not win at everything and they will not always score well. This brings disappointment, leads to low self-esteem and poor self-image. Parents tend to goad their children into becoming all-rounders, and children often end up as victims rather than success stories. The future of a child is the biggest concern to a parent. Since the educational institutions in our country are always on the lookout for the brightest and the best students to maintain their reputation, parents feel compelled to raise the bar too high for their child to match up to the standards. Parents nowadays are too concerned about how the world would perceive their child, which in turn results in parental pressure. The idea of excellence and success is often generalized by parents based on how others are performing. Apart from academics, children are also bogged down by rising expectations in various areas where they have their own interests like sports, music, arts, etc. Hence, without giving care to the wholesome development of a child, parents keep on pushing the boundaries that ultimately leads to stress, disappointment, anxiety, and suicide. In a study conducted on 190 students from grade 11 to 12 from 3 private schools in Kolkata and 3 government-aided schools, it was found out that almost 2/3 of the students experienced pressure from their parents to perform better academically. The school education system in India is textbook oriented, where the focus remains on systematic long hours of study every day and rote memorization. The elaborate study routines leaves little time for recreation and socialization. On top of that, there is high competition against peers to perform better and outscore. From school level to high school life to getting admission to tertiary institution, in students experience academic stress every step of their way. Undeniably, the constant academic stress takes a toll on the mental health of the students. In 2018, there were 1.3 lakh suicides in the country, out of which 8% were accounted for students. Parents have a key role to play in reducing the stress among the students. Here is how it can be done. Some suggestions. Parents should instigate positive thinking and good lifestyle habit in students. A healthy lifestyle coupled with good eating and sleeping habits can considerably reduce stress. Be it in academics, sports, or any other area, parents should always embrace a child's imperfections and mistakes. They need to teach their children their failure is part of success. If a student is experiencing fear or anxiety, parents should take the time to talk and address the concerns. Parents should always make it a point to focus on the good aspects and positive attributes of the students. In this age, where a decimal point can be a deciding factor in one's life, there is a dire need to address the issues of parenting expectations and academic stress. We must work as a cohesive unit to conduct deeper analysis and wider studies to understand the obstacles and devise specific plans to reduce the burden on the youngsters. And to discuss this very, very important topic, parental pressure and education, we have a very alert, learned, knowledgeable, those who are authority in their field, panelists with us. And I would like to invite my first panelist guest. He is Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam. Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam is PhD and postdoctorate from UK. Dr. Salam is the former Vice Chancellor of the prestigious University of Calicut, which is one of the largest and reputed university in India. As a renowned educationist, agricultural scientist, and education administrator, the Professor Salam, in a career spanning more than 4 decades from 1975 to 2020 across continents, has established a great reputation as a tireless academic and scientist, beside being recognized as one of the most authoritative voices in area of higher education. He is an academician and scientist with great zeal and enthusiasm. He has published 153 research papers, 15 review articles, and 13 books in biological sciences. Welcome, Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam on our show. Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam, you are being on a very, very high position as a Vice Chancellor, as well as being an academician. And you are very much associated with the biological sciences. And you have seen the parenting yourself, as well as you are seeing the parenting of the students whom you taught, or they were in your university or the colleges or schools. Now, and you have also seen the parenting in different continents. Now, we would like to know your views on parental pressure and education. Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam, please.
Very good morning to Lalji, Ananda Boseji, and also to Miss Karishmaji. At the outset, let me congratulate Lalji for choosing this timely subject, parental pressure and education. I am just looking at this title, parental pressure in education. I'm looking at it as a parent, as a teacher, as an educational administrator, as a planner, and also as a mentor. Based on my experience in the field of education for more than 4 decades. If you look at it, this title has 3-4 associated terms. There is a word parent. There is no word child, but there is a hidden term child, parenting, parental pressure, and education. So parental pressure on education, not on any other thing. You know, the latest NEP, National Education Policy of the Government of India, which is said to be one of the greatest documents, greatest programs of the present government. The whole document is centering around the total development, integrated development of a student. It's physical development, mental development, emotional development, intellectual development, development from all domains of a personality. I was looking at my earlier age. During my times, there was no pressure from my parents. They just sent me to the schools or colleges. I go, I learn, I come back. There was no pressure except in providing me the fees and these things, the other requirements. Now, as time passes, then the compound families became nuclear families, resources were more available, resources per capita was more, ambitions were more, development was more, you know, care per student from parents was much more. My family was, you know, in many numbers, 8, 9, 10, my times, now single child families. So things are getting different. Now, as this change happens, the pressure also increases. You have already defined the parental pressure, its impacts, and certain examples. Parenting, as you know, is some assistance from the parent, mother or father, to the child for its total development till he or she attains adulthood. Now, since we are talking about education, the parental pressure from the mother and the father over the child is centered around the academic ambitions. I want to underline the word ambitions. They seldom realize the capability of the child in terms of his interests or talents. I remember one example where an examination example showing the talent difference in education, quoting like this: you are just expecting a monkey to swim and a fish to climb a tree. Now, this sort of differences of individuals in terms of its intellectual abilities, talents, physical ability, mental, emotional ability. Disregarding all these things, the parents nowadays, in the recent time, I am observing very seriously during the last 3 or even 4 decades, very seriously, converge all their resources, their time, their money, their energy, their motivation, their encouragement, facilitation, everything over the child with a specific task, specific objective. Objective may be to make my child a doctor or an engineer or a scientist or something like that, and never ever focus on making a good human being. Because of this over pressure on the child, disregarding his abilities, you know what happens? The student will be kept under stress, emotional stress, physical stress, more tension, and off late every year associated with the examinations, you can see hundreds of suicides of male and female child, premature suicides. And you can see children sitting there with a lot of depression, getting a feeling that I am useless, I am unable to do, and the comparison of parents showing other students, all these create lot of difficulties in terms of their physical development, their mental framework, their emotional framework. Or in other words, you can see many tragedies associated with the intolerable parental pressure. I remember in one of the earlier presentation, I was mentioning about the number of students in India, 36.5 crores of school students and 3.5 crores of college students, roughly 40 crores of students out of 140. Today, if you look at in my own state, the state of Kerala, every school is competing to equip the best. Every parent is competing to invest maximum on the student. And the mother and the father, 24 hours, they are after the student with all care, pressure, motivation, competition, etc., etc. As a result, if you look at the nation at large, the number of suicides increases, now creating, criminal sort of behavior, indecent behavior, leading to unexpected, undesired results are more rampant than they are earlier. So the point I am trying to say is, compared to the earlier times, because of the development maybe, or because of the enhancement in resources maybe, because of the academic ambitions, and again because of creation of more number of or formation of more number of micro families, the pressure from the parental side over the children has gone intolerably. That is why we are taking up this topic today. What are the ill effects of parenting? What is a good parenting? What is a bad parenting? What are the ill effects of bad parenting? How can we control this bad parenting? These are the things which we are discussing because of these over effects or bad effects of over parent pressure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam, for giving your views. And what Professor Salam has mentioned, he says that at his time, there was no such type of parental pressure. He says the reasons were very clear, that there was no much resources at that time, no development, and the joint family, so many children are there. Parents never care and put about the pressure about the studies, about the education, but they just have to see to it that they will get the food and clothes and the fees in time so that the child can study. While he says now, because of the nuclear families, the development is taking place, more resources are there, single child norm has now been adopted by many families, and that has made a competitive era, and the parents want that their child should be the best, and for that they put unnecessary pressure on the child. And the same thing is happening with the schools and the colleges. They, in the competition to be number one in their district or the state, they are also putting more and more pressure on the students. So basically what he says is, nowadays the education as well as the pressure from the family is too much. And sometimes he says it is like that the monkey has to swim and the fish has to climb the tree. That much is the expectations from the parents. And he says that because of this expectation, over expectation, the child is going under depression. They are thinking to commit suicide. They become criminals, and they will. That's why they have lots of mental and physical problems which were not there earlier. So he says there are good parenting and bad parenting. It depends, but the pressure, what the pressure has been put, is not advisable at this time, and because of that we are discussing today's topic. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam, for giving your opening very good remarks about the parental pressure. Now I would like to invite my next guest, and he is He is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He is also the principal advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He was former head of the Disaster Management, Government of India, and Central Draft Relief Commissioner, Government of India. He was the Vice Chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture, and 1 book on housing received prestigious the Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is an housing expert, innovator, writer, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nimriti Kendra Building Center, District Tourism Council, and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmavaswamy Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him Man of Ideas. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose is right now in a conference, and he has sent his voice recording, which I am playing right now, which although he has promised that he will try to join as early as possible, but right now he's in conference, so he has asked me to play his voice recording, so which I am playing, which will be giving his thoughts on the topic. So Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, on parental pressure and education.
Have an obvious preference for the male child as the first offspring of a couple. And the child should not only be male, but should also look like his father. In a song and story, that sentiment may have takers. But how boringly repetitive the society would be if all the children grow up to become carbon copies of their father or mother. Variety being the spice of life, the purpose of creation is not at all to make clones of people. Seeing the mad rush of new-gen parents, one would feel that their desire is not to have children, but to have robots as a progeny. A crop of little monkeys that jump according to their commands. The number of mothers insisting on getting the best of everything for their children is legion. I feel pity for nervous, fidgety mothers waiting impatiently outside examination halls, causing tension not only for themselves, but also for their children. There is tension in every home having school-going children. Maths is tough for my son. English is easy. I am now searching for a good tuition master. My colleague once told me, "In which class is your son studying?" I asked in full sympathy. "First standard," was her reply. I felt like laughing, but did not show it on my face. The tension and anxiety that grip parents have gone viral. Yes, viral. Now, in all schools of India today, this is the position. The parents have decided that their children, like horses, with their blinkers in place, should move only in the direction they desire. This is equal to barring the inevitability of the laws of nature. Which way the children will take is their responsibility. It is their innate wisdom and the specialities of their character that help them determine whether they should take the path of Abraham or Cain or Abel. If an attempt is made to create robots out of them, in total disregard to this, it will naturally lead to tension and personality aberrations. Some teachers are also abet such aberrations to a certain extent. At least some teachers are adamant that the students should follow the path prepared by them. In Germany, an exasperated teacher once told a student, "You are an ignoramus in mathematics. You will never get anywhere in life." We know who this student was. Albert Einstein, who developed the theory of relativity. In England, one student who studied in local grammar schools, indulged in poaching, had to run away from home. The world saw him later as William Shakespeare, the greatest dramatist ever. Winston Churchill was written off by teachers as an imbecile. Abraham Lincoln, Edison, Charlie Chaplin, all are famous names, but none of them had completed education in the expected manner. If they had toed the lines or drawn their parents, lines drawn by their parents, if they had toed the lines drawn by their parents, they would never have come to the positions they occupied later. None should draw lines for anyone. There are enough do's and don'ts drawn by society and tradition, freeing emancipation of the hapless children who are forced to waste their lives by racing from one tuition to another and from the mini screen to the computer screen has become the need of the hour. It is essential to sustain and promote creativity among the children. When the children who are to grow up drawing lessons from the society in an atmosphere of give and take are reduced to confine themselves to the cocoons created by their own parents, society and culture also get enmeshed in the same measure. The inane characteristic of nuclear families is having a bearing on human psyche as well. For the children of the past, the very mention of the word vacation was accelerating time for play and games for the children of relatives' homes. What they lose now is a time to jump into the river, to bathe, to stone down golden fruits from the mango tree, to walk behind the temple oracle as he makes his rounds, to tap along with the drum beats during temple processions, to take part in the candlelight march in the church, to help to make up the crib scene in celebration of nativity, to tell tales and to recite poems, see skits and indulge in pranks without being caught, and to save the skin when caught. I remember seeing a skit in my school days once. I think it was written by some neighborhood boy during the summer vacation and presented with the help of a teacher. Scene 1, a young husband and wife are sitting in the foyer of their home, pleasantly talking to each other. Then they see the mother-in-law coming from afar. To avoid her, they take a domestic quarrel. They fake a domestic quarrel. The husband appears to be in an angry mood and slaps his wife on the cheek. The wife starts mourning in full-throated ease. Seeing them, this is not the good time for the visit. The mother-in-law quietly leaves the place. Scene 2, happy that the mother-in-law has gone. The husband says, "I can slap you without hurting, do you know that?" The victorious wife said, I can wail without getting hurt. Do you know that? In comes a mother-in-law. I can remain without going. Do you know that? Isn't it true that such farces and skits give much more creative fun than the ready-made humor of the television programs? When we watch television, keeping only our eyes and ears open, what we really do is to shut down with a bang all doors to creativity. It was not at all a habit in the distant past, especially in the villages. It pressurized the children in the manner of pressure ripening of fruits. Once the children were enrolled in schools, the entire responsibility for their status or studies was vested with the teachers. The teachers considered even a minor lapse from their part as a major shortcoming in the discharge of their duties. The parents did not bother much about their children in school except giving them an occasional chastisement. Their attitude was not to unduly worry about anything and to take things in their stride. Like that old farmer of Malabar. Once a black steed ran into the farm. It was beautiful, sinewy, well-groomed. The villagers congratulated the farmer on the good fortune and said, the horse must be worth several thousand rupees. The farmer was indifferent. Well, I do not know, he said ambivalently. After a few days, the horse ran away in the same manner as it had come in. The villagers were sorry for the farmer. You could have sold it then itself. If so, you would not have incurred such a great loss, they said. The farmer's refrain was the same. Well, I do not know. A few days later, the horse returned to the farm, bringing with it 10 other beautiful steeds. The villagers again congratulated him, saying, it is a good thing that he did not sell the first horse, but the farmer's reply was the same. I do not know. Then the ruler of the land, Zamorin, heard about the steeds and came forward to buy them at the rate of 100 sovereigns per steed. But the farmer turned down the offer. The villagers called him a fool. His reply was that, well, I don't know. One day, the farmer's son fell down from the horse and fractured his leg. The villagers found fault with the farmer, saying, if he had sold the steeds to the Zamorin, this misfortune would not have befallen him. But the farmer was non-committal. Well, I do not know. Not much later, Tipu Sultan, the Mysore tiger, began his ransacking of Malabar. The ruler of the land then conscripted all able-bodied youth to the army. Naturally, the farmer's son was spared because of his fracture. When the villagers congratulated the farmer, exclaiming, how lucky are you? He responded, well, I do not know. We should realize that inevitability and unexpected developments are part of nature's interminate cycle. It is only natural that there are turns and twists, rise and fall in the growth penetration or growth pattern of children. Parents should not follow the children like shadows to prevent the inevitable. Nor is it possible to make the children either a shadow. Then, why this meaningless shadow play? Fretful mothers, you should realize, you should ponder over this and find an answer themselves. Leave the children alone. Do not assume that they will go astray if they are outside your ken even once. Fretting mothers, you too were children once. Did you go astray then?
So he was there's a voice recording of Dr. CV Anand Bose, IAS, who is in a conference, but he will definitely promise that he will try to join. So what Dr. CV Anand Bose has mentioned in his recording was very clear. He says that the parents wants that the child should be like them or more than them, which is not possible. After all, everyone is having a different way of upbringing and different ways when they will become grown. So, but the pressure of the child, and he has given lots of examples. He has also mentioned how the Einstein or William Shakespeare, the Winston Churchill, and all many people, renowned people, were not being giving a proper education, or they could not complete their schooling or the colleges because of the pressure which they were facing either from the college or from the house, but still they have become so big. So according to Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, if one has to be in a natural way, then only the growth of the child will be there. But it will put pressure on the child just for study. That is not good at all, for not only for him but even for the society. Thank you very much, although he's not there, but his views which he has already expressed are there. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Miss Karishma Chhatrapati. Miss Karishma is the inner transformation coach. She is the founder of Being Spiritual with KUC. She is knowledge partner of Fizza Private Limited, Mumbai. She started out as a journalist, then progressed to an editorial desktop job, and on the side, she completed her master's in psychotherapy and counseling and master's in psychology. For 8 years, she doubled, rather tripled up as an editor, freelance writer, and corporate coach and psychotherapist. Then in 2008, she switched completely to coaching, psychotherapy, and counseling, used a myriad of modalities to help her clients. Her head was filled with knowledge of tarot, angel card reading, Hindu rites and rituals from a spiritual perspective, crystal healing, Reiki, guided meditations, mindfulness, hypnotherapy, astrology, rune casting, crystal ball gauging, art therapy, handwriting and signature analysis, candle mediation, etc. Being spiritual with KUC, she crested community. Her every blog post comes from a space of deeper understanding, wisdom brought out about by the awareness that comes through experience of the lesson learned. Welcome, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati on our show. Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati, you have heard what Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam as well as Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, has mentioned. And both are of these views that unnecessary pressure, the parental pressure on the child is not at all healthy for the well-being of the child, whether it's mentally or physically or even for the education. And they have expressed that this is because one of the reason is because of the development, because of the nuclear family, and because of the competitive world which is now we are living. Now, you being a yourself a psychotherapist as well as psychologist as well as a counselor, and you are doing lots of counseling for the parents, and you are getting the first-hand information what type of pressure, the parental pressure is harming the mental well-being of a child. So we would like to know from you the parental pressure and education. Miss Karishma Chhatrapati, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goel, and it's such an honor to be on this platform today. This is one topic that is closest to my heart because, and this actually became an impression when I was driving past a beautiful hoarding that said that the child gives birth to the mother. And that's when I reassessed. I said, where are parents really going wrong? The problem with parenting is that when you believe this is my child, you want to own that child. You want to control that child. And in wanting to control, you're not giving them the freedom of development. But this is what parents have been doing. You go back through generations and generations. Parents only became parents out of their own parents. They forgot that they were a child also once. So every time it's about putting their own pressures on the child. Expectations destroy joy. I say this to every parent. If you have an expectation from your child, it's because You have expectations from yourself that have been unfulfilled. Let's reassess your own life, and you will see that from your child, you will have no expectations. Faulty parenting just comes from everything that is external. That is why inner transformation coach. Stop looking at everything around. The neighbor's child, this one's child, my friend's child, my cousin's child. Everyone's child is better than your own child. Why? Why can't you look at your own child and recognize your child's strengths? Why can't you work on the strengths so that the weaknesses get diminished? Why are we always pointing fingers and saying, my child is not studying, my child doesn't do this, my child doesn't listen to me, my child is complaining. And the best thing is that when parents come to me for counseling, they're like, my child needs you. I'm like, before your child needs me, you need me. You have to recognize that. I will counsel your child. But if your child comes back to your environment, then what use am I? So helping a child is helping an entire family. A parental, this is something that's ingrained into parents. We need to control. We have given birth to this child. We are the ones who have to carve the future of the child. But why? This is not the age where we have limited resources, limited options. This is the age of following your passion, and everything that you do has a payoff today. Everything. There are children who are excelling, and there are children who are wilting also under pressure. You sow a seed. Can you every day keep looking at that seed? How is it going to grow? No, you have to give it space. You put the water, you add the manure, you look at it, you tend to it. Why can't parents look at a child as a seedling, as a plant that needs to be nurtured? When parents are recognizing this, that I am the gardener who has got this child, then you start nurturing the child. You stop bringing up the child. You stop controlling the child. It's all about nurturance. Feeding the child the right kind of food, physically, mentally, and emotionally. In a very interesting anecdote, and it's very personal, I remember this particular father who went on pressuring the child, saying, you have to study, you have to excel, you have to do this, you have to do that, no playtime, nothing. And one day the child finds a box hidden somewhere and comes running out and says, you know what, Dad, you failed in the 5th standard and you keep telling me that I need to do very, very well in my studies. And the father was so shamefaced at that point, because what could he tell that child? Then what happened? From being a controlling father who wanted the child to excel, he became the absolute democratic father who said, do what you want. That's also not helpful. You have to be a friend to your child. You have to allow your child to come and share what that child is going through. Don't undermine a child. Development begins from the womb. But we say because the child is crying and in the lap, there is no development happening. The child is developing from your womb. Your sanskaras, whatever you fill it in, is going to reap into something of tomorrow. Recognize that if you're giving birth to a child, more than that, the child is giving birth to the parent in you. And therefore, that responsibility is yours to grow your child in this environment of full bloom. What are your passions, beta? You like dancing? Let's put you in a dance class. You like football? Let's train you for football. Academics will happen. Not every child is born to be a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grader, but every child is born to live their passion, to live their purpose. Let's help our children do that. Today, we've got so many more choices. I say this to every parent who comes to me. First, stop looking at your child as only he or she has faults. I'm imperfect. Can you embrace yourself and say, I have imperfections. My child is as imperfect as I am. And let's stop striving for perfection, because it's a myth. Your reality is who you are and everything that you're made for. This is where parenting goes wrong. The pressure. And whose pressure? Societal pressure, neighbors' pressure. It's everything, and your own pressure, your own failures. You're reflecting on your child, your own fears of your own failures. What? Is it helping your child? And today that we're going through a pandemic where children are at home 24/7, they have not visited school, their social development has taken a backseat. As parents, we have to be even more understanding of what the child is going through. We as adults can adjust to the 4 walls. For that child, freedom, greenery, outdoors is everything, and the pandemic has taken it away. And whisper, you keep putting pressure on the child, and then you say, my child is in front of the screen, but circumstances have given has made that happen, right? We are learning through the screen today. So assess your own mental well-being. Be mindful as a parent. This is your responsibility. This is your child. It's all about you. Stop throwing your past onto your child's future. What you were, how you were, and how you were brought up has got nothing to do with how you need to bring up your child. It just has to be with being comfortable with yourself and recognizing your child as that mud on a potter's wheel, and playfully bring up your child. Have fun. Be your child's friend and yet be a parent. Be controlling when you need to and let go when you need to. Stop telling them what not to do. How about showing them what they can do and what they're capable of doing? So many children, while we talk about parental pressure, it's so beautiful, but even during that the last 1 year of the pandemic, children have also been so important in helping and mobilizing help for various organizations. They have done things. How much have we sat down and congratulated those children and thanked them? Have the parents actually said, my child has achieved this? Or have you looked at your child and say, it's a waste of time, get back to your studies? Nothing is a waste of time with your parents out there. Nothing. Everything contributes to your child's well-being. Today, every university has so much more to offer you beyond arts, commerce, and science. Universities are micromanaging careers today and giving you opportunities to live your purpose. So parents, help your child to do that. Help your child. But you can do that when you recognize that they have given birth to you as a parent and not you having given birth to that child. You don't have to control them. You need to walk along with them.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati, for giving your very, I must say, the views which today the parents require, how they can upbring their child. And what she says is, you own your child, and this feeling of yours is killing the child. She says, yes, the child is yours, but it doesn't mean that you will over possess the child and you think that this is my child to be the best. And your expectations, the worst part is because you always expect much and more from the child. She also mentioned that how one child, when found one box in the old report card of the father says, whenever somebody comes to her and asks the counseling for the child, she says it is better that I should counsel you and your family, because ultimately the child has to go back to your family only, and you require counseling, not the child. So according to her, that child has given the parenthood. One should understand it's not you have given the birth to a child. Yes, you have given, but the child has also given birth to you as a parent. So she says nowadays, because of the COVID, so much pressure is already there on the children. And we must understand that they are not going out, they are not meeting their friends, but still they are coping up with the online classes. So we must not put pressure to them. And one very important point which she says is, please don't bring your past, how your upbringing were, how it was faulty or not faulty, and you want to impose the same things to your child, which is wrong. Let the child will grow naturally in the environment and give and have fun with him or her. Let them do what they want to do. If they want to play, let them play. If they want to help you in the kitchen, let them do that. But don't put a pressure. And according to her, everything what a child is doing is contributing for the development of the family or the society. Thank you very much, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati. I am sure it is very enlightening. Today's our media conference. The views expressed by former Vice Chancellor, expressed by Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, and expressed by you will definitely give a new dimensions of the parental pressures which the parents are put on their own child. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to ask a question to our Professor Dr. Abdul Salam. Professor Salam, you being an educationist and you are very much well informed with the current developments. Do you think that this new education or the National Education Policy 2020 will be beneficial for the for the development of the child, and it will ease the parental pressure of what we have seen in the last 3-4 decades? Professor Dr. Salam, please. Please unmute. Please unmute. Please unmute.
Before answering to that particular question, let me congratulate Madam Karishma Chatrabadi for giving an excellent comparison in terms of, gardener sort of, role, for the parent. Parent should be a good gardener. As an agricultural scientist, I appreciate that term very much. A good gardener, the child is a small sapling or the seedling, and your role is to care them with, the required amount of nutrients and water and protection, not with the overdose of water, overdose of nutrients, overdose of caring. So the parenting ability depends on your decision regarding the optimum doses of care that is to be given to the student. Now, one more point before coming to the question proper, one more thing I would like to say as a parent. I remember when I was in UK with my 4-year-old daughter for my postdoc, she was in a nursery. During that 1 year time, the teachers team, what they were doing, they were helping me to identify the talents, the strength and the weaknesses of my daughter. What are her abilities? What are her potentials? What are her talents? In which area she will shine? In which area she will not shine? That, education to the parents was great for me as a parent to tailor her, the course of academia. So such a mechanism of talent identification, talent nurturing, talent promotion, talent-centric academic ambitions, that is very much lacking in our system. And I believe that today, in the era of online training, online teaching, etc., there should be some mechanism for regular training of parents, not occasional training. Regular in the sense, maybe once in a week or so, 10 minutes training, what you should do, what you should not do, and also talent identification, talent nurturing mechanisms, talent-oriented, academic ambition, not only academic, even physical, sports, game, etc., ambition fixing mechanisms. That will also help in our educational process. Then I believe, in good parenting business, the role of the teachers or trainers in training the parents is very important. At the same time, with these 2 points, after congratulating madam and after talking about the talent identification, talent nurturing, I am coming to the question as to whether the NEP 2020, the philosophy, the principles and philosophy, or the specific objectives of the NEP 2020 will eliminate this. It cannot eliminate the parent pressure. It will focus, it will definitely teach the teachers, the students and the parents, or to give them an awareness regarding their talents and talent promotion, and ultimately integrated personality development oriented education is envisaged in the NEP. Focusing again back to this title, that is parental pressure in education, I must definitely state over here that, experts like Madam Karishma there should be an online mechanism from some corner sponsored by somebody focusing on all parents on a regular basis. Now, how you can identify the talents of your student, whether it's sports or games, whatever it may be, how you can promote it, what is the importance of non-comparing with others, what is the importance of identifying the talent promotion areas and mechanism. So such things, I'm sure, will definitely eliminate the undesirable, issues related to bad parenting and parent pressure over the innocent children.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam, for giving your views. Now, my question goes to Ms. Karishma. Ms. Karishma, don't you think that today the parents, for their own whims and wishes, and to show off that they are because they want to keep their nose high in the society and they want their name to be high in the society, they put more pressure on the child, because those who are in the competitive world, like what Professor Salam has mentioned initially, because of the nuclear family, they want that the child should be number one in every field, which was not the case earlier. And that's why to satisfy their own whims and wishes, to just show off in the society, they are putting the pressure. Do you agree with this? If yes, or not, whatsoever your views, and how we can, the parents can remove or can reduce this their own psychological things, that they want to be number one, and that's why they put the pressure on the children. Miss Karishma, please.
Sir, I completely agree with this, that today we are, unfortunately, while we are internalized as a nuclear family, we're living looking at everything around us. We believe that we are successful, our status is defined by everything that we own, including our child. So our child has become like a commodity for parents. Mera bacha first, my child is coming first, my child is doing this, my child is attending this class, this class, this class. You won't believe this, sir. A first standard child, online education, finishes online education starts class at about 8 o'clock in the morning, finishes by 1:30 in the afternoon, gets a nap for half an hour. From 3:30 has tuitions for what has been taught in the morning, then goes into a dance class, then goes into another class. And by the time 7:38, that child doesn't have a smile on her face or his face. This is reality across the board. Rural India far less, because the options are far less. This is mainly a problem with urban India, because urban India has become competitive, materialistic. Be materialistic. It's not a bad thing. Competition should not be around you. Competition should be with yourself. Ki bacha, last year you got 80%. Na? I know you're capable of 85% this year. Let's push a little bit. No, their view is what? You got only 80%. Did you see what so-and-so got? How much this one has got? How much that one has got? That child's pressure is not an internal pressure, then it is the external pressure. And that pressure is bad. Little bit stress is required in life. For anything to move, a little bit of stress and pressure is required. But not to the extent where that child is looking at himself or herself and feeling that they are incapable and everyone else is better than them. Compete with yourself. Parents have to learn that too. Stop making your child a trophy. Your child is not it's not a trophy. Your child is a child. Your child is not your commodity, a prized possession, or somebody you need to show off. Your child is another human being who's going to grow into being a beautiful, dynamic human being, a great citizen of this nation, and contribute to the welfare of this nation. Stop putting pressure and come. Take your vision from around you and come to internalize yourself. Your status doesn't come from what you own, it comes from who you are. And who you own is not defined by what you are and what you own. I am. That's it. Just be that. Now your child will learn to be that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Karishma, for giving your views. And now my question goes to Professor Salam. Professor Salam, when we are talking about the parental pressure, but we should understand, especially in India, the admissions for preschool or junior KG or nursery, whatsoever is so competitive today that not only it's a long wait list, but the child has to undergo for a oral or viva or exam or many other things. Now the test, how a child of 1.5 years or 2 years is able to reply, and especially to a stranger, because the teacher or the principal, whosoever is taking the test, is not acquainted with the child, and that child's psychology and the pressure. I have seen many of the parents, what they are doing is they are teaching the child from the very beginning. You have to learn this, you have to recite this, you have to tell your name, your father's name, all those things at the age of 1.5 years. You mentioned how your daughter of 4 years in the UK, and you have seen other countries also. There is a difference because they used to just ask the child, they bring the child, the child do whatsoever activity the child is doing, they just observe. They are not asking the question, which is not in India. There the question has been asked, and many times, which I am sure Ms. Karishma will also vouch afterwards, that it all depends on the mood of the child. If child is not in mood, he or she is not going to reply, even he or she knows what is being taught to them at that early age. What do you say about this, Professor Salam?
I fully appreciate. Can you hear me? Yes,
Yes, please.
I fully appreciate this thought. I tell you, of late, the educationists, the teachers, the parents, they all realize the need for keeping the child cool and comfortable, stress-free, tension-free, totally free. And the educational philosophy itself is getting changed. What is happening during education or learning, knowingly or unknowingly, we are opening up all our panchendriya, all our five sensory organs and collecting data. Maybe through eyes or ears, all indriyas are, gathering data, processing data, analyzing data, and understanding them. This is the process of education, that's number one. As you said, for analyzing and understanding, you need a cool atmosphere, tension-free atmosphere. So what is needed for the part of a teacher or a parent is to create a cool and comfortable environment for him to open up all the indriyas, gather all the data, process in his brain, and draw his own conclusion. Why it is day, why not night? No, he analyzes himself. He asks questions. That is why we talk about critical thinking, creativity, critical thinking, and all that. Today, even NEP 2020, I tell you, NEP 2020 also emphasized the need for creating thinkers and doers. Thinker is a person, most of the successful persons are thinkers in some form or other. So how best we can create thinkers, not the masters? That's the changing scenario of education. Similarly, thinkers and doers. What do you mean by doing? You do and learn. In that process, you develop skill. So create thinkers, create doers. In that process, you just, inflict skills of every sort of work to which he has a skill, or a talent. Say, for example, a football person showing talents for football, give him adequate opportunity right from young age to play and grow. Now that is why, the work integrated learning is coming into place. Work integrated learning and living. Now what is happening there? He thinks by himself, he gathers data, he analyzes data, he does it, he gain it, he absorb it, it is going into the system. Such boys and girls, they are not mug masters, they are going to be good, not only for them, to their parents and to the society at large.
Thank you, Professor Salam. Now my question goes to Ms. Karishma. Ms. Karishma, the question almost the same what I asked Professor Salam, that because of this faulty admission process, don't you think it is not the parents' fault, but the fault lies with our education system in India, that the first class or the first starting point of a child is so difficult that the parents are bound to come in the pressure, to put the pressure on the child from the very beginning. And that's why the faulty parenting starts. Do you agree? If yes, then what do you think should be the solution which you want to suggest, so that at least the pressure which a child is facing, even when she or he is only 1.5 years old? What you say about this, Miss Karishma?
Sir, I do agree that there is a faulty system for bringing a child to school and interviewing the child, putting so much of pressure. But at the same time, I do take great pride in the fact that we belong to a democracy. Democracy means that over here, citizens can come together and charter change in any system. I think it's a time that parents need to come together and say that what is happening, where the system of bringing in the child into school is faulty. We need to clear the system. What would help? We need to be the change. The problem is that we know there's a fault, and then we have the attitude of sab chalta hai, let it be. And we expect everyone else to do it for us. So one, I think parents must be more conscious to want to inculcate. I mean, schools have parent-teacher associations. Parents will talk about changes where socializing is concerned, or this teacher's good, this teacher's bad. They have a say in that. Why can't they actually create movements where then schools are compelled to bring a change? It's simple. We have to be part of that change making policy. Another aspect, sir, that you had brought up was about moods and children. I have to share with you something very interesting. A newborn baby has only two moods or two emotions: laughter or tears. Laughter is because there's joyfulness around, and tears because he or she feels that the need for something. There is no other fear. No other emotion. Every emotion is brought about by conditioning and imitation. You look at your parent getting scared of something, you learn fear. You see your parent angry and in a bad mood, you learn that. Moods are taught by our own parents. We learn it from imitation and mimicry. And yes, the system needs to change. It is very unfair. My heart goes out to the children who are under so much of pressure to perform. Performance anxiety, such a, the phrase performance anxiety. Why? The child should be free and should be able to say, my name is Karishma. And that's it. That is enough to tell you that the child belongs to your school. Like 2.5, what are you measuring? And why are you measuring? Freedom is important. And you should be pointing out as a principal or as a teacher that, my God, this child is not free. That means that we need to reassess and look at how we can help this parent to free the child. We have to take more responsibility. It works in every way. The education system, the parental bodies have to work together. It has to be a joint effort, sir. It's not fair to only say one part of the engine is incompetent. It's the entire system we need to change.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ms. Karishma. Now my question goes to Professor Salam. Professor Salam, as you have heard what Ms. Karishma says, we require to change the system, because definitely the NEP or National Education Policy 2020 is a welcome change as far as the higher education or even the education from primary schools. But the admission process, and the pressure is so much. You, Professor Salam, you have visited so many countries and the continent. You have seen there how in Western countries, a child of 11, 12 or 13 years start working somewhere and become a self-dependent, and that self-esteem which he or she is inculcated at that age is definitely something which is not there in India. Here the child or the youth up to the age of 25, 27 sometimes is studying on and totally depending on the parents. And that's why the parents have a duty to see that the child should grow in a proper way. While in other countries, child's freedom starts from 11 or 12 years. And then the child is doing whatsoever they want to do. They are learning, they are seeing the things, what is happening across in the environment, in the nature. While in our country, it's not that. So don't you think we require not only the change in the education system, but change in the societal behavior? We should allow our child to work, to see what we are now turning as an experiential education. Basically, until unless the child will not go in the open environment, apart from the school and college, and see what is happening in the society, they cannot learn more, and then only the parental pressure can be reduced. What you say about this, Professor Salam?
Yeah, before I answer this question, let me add to the earlier point. We were talking about admission tests at the KG level and all how to control. As an educationist and education administrator, I strongly believe to eliminate such undesirable practices, a strong willed government can easily raise it out. If you can come out with the strong rules and regulations that if somebody is violating such things, their license will be will be cancelled. Such there should be different types of mechanisms. Advising them, just taking them to our hands and motivating them, and finally our people will yield to such things only with the strong rules and its implementation. I'm sure such primary level quizzes and admission tests can easily go if the government wishes. That's about that. Now coming to the admission mechanism, I tell you based on my experience for more than 4 decades in the higher education system, as well as vocational in the school system, I believe that the current type of admissions for any course, any level, any subject, looking at the grades or the credits, that should be modified. I don't want to say should go. It should be modified. Nowadays, all A grade fellows will be admitted. Do you think that all these A grade fellows are coming out, doing good to the society ultimately? If that is so, all our doctors, they will be good doctors. They are all A grade top rank fellows. All engineers, RIAs, all the so-called A grade fellows, top A grade fellows, very often selfish centric fellows, very often never available to the mother nation, very often never available to the parents. No, the current strategy of admission at any level, looking at the A grades or the ranks, that should be modified. That should be, I may even say that, aptitude, passion, talents, and skills and proven abilities for a particular work area, maybe doctor or an engineer or accounting or administration. Such fellows should be admitted, disregarding his marks at lower levels. You know why I am telling you? Sometimes you may be bad at the school level, but you are good at higher level. Sometimes you are bad at the college level, but when you go to the doctorate level, you prove yourself to be the best researchers. Now, what I am trying to say is not the erroneously recorded grades and marks. Instead of that, we should have another mechanism to admit students for any course or any subject or any level, looking at his abilities, his talents, his passion, his commitment to that particular subject. And he should prove himself that he is surviving in that field or he is doing in that job as a doctor, as an engineer, as an administrator. He should not be deprived of that opportunity just because of the simple reason that he scored less at the school level or at the college initial level. That's my feeling after having gone through the educational scenario over decades.
Thank you very much, Professor Salam, for giving your views, very, very strong views. And I'm sure the state governments, at least, because it comes under the state government domain, that they can remove this admission level test, which is being conducted by at least all the private schools, even sometimes even the government schools. They should remove it, so that at least just for the want of their own school's image, they are doing this. It should be removed. Thank you very much, Professor Salam. Now I goes to Miss Karishma. Miss Karishma, now we have heard you, we have heard Professor Salam, we have heard Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. But what advice you would like to give to the parents that they should do, how they can behave? Because the problem is there is no proper guidelines, no proper counseling, no proper, you can say, direction for the parents to know what type of parenting they should do, because they all are busy, as you all mentioned about that nuclear family. They are busy, work from home or working, and at that time when they are coming back, and I will add that not only the mood of the child, but the mood swing of the parent is also very important. If the mother or the father is in a bad mood for any reason, for the work pressure or whatnot reason, they just want to vent out their frustration on the child. So what suggestion would you like to give to the parents so that they can become a good parent and they will not put the unnecessary pressure on the child? Ms. Karishma, please.
So before I ask that question, I would like to mention over here that I myself in school, I was a below average child. I used to stand top 5 from behind, literally. And I think where I am today and I'm on this amazing platform, does it really matter what my grades were? I don't think so. So parents, your child does not have to have grades to excel in life. Your child has to simply excel in life. Give them the opportunity. Now coming back to your question, sir, I think most importantly is that parents have to uh, be okay with the fact that they need help and accept that they need intervention because things are out of control. When does bad parenting happen? I don't like to define bad and good parenting, but for the sake of this conversation, when does bad parenting happen? When the parent is going through immense pressure, there is past baggage, there is guilt of not living up to expectations. There are too many pressures, financial, societal, every kind of pressure. You are not managing your own life, and then what happens? Your child becomes a reflection of your own failures, and therefore you become a bad parent to the child. So, step number one, going for counseling and seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It is strength and power to say, I need help. Please help me bring up my child. So, please go out there and seek help. Recognize that as a parent, by being buried under pressure, you're not helping your child to develop at all. You're only adding more. See, if I keep saying you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, that child will only prove that that child is bad. But if I can reverse and say, you're an excellent child, you're superb, oh my God, you're so creative, that child feels honored enough to perform in that way. But you can do that when you're traveling lightly. You've dropped your own baggage, your mental, emotional baggage. And that is why we are in this field. Going to a counselor does not mean कि मैं पागल हूँ. No, it means that I acknowledge that I need help and I'm seeking your help to help me do that. That is the most important step you take. You take that step, everything else is sorted out. You know, when you read my profile, yes, I've learned a lot of modalities because sadly, up till today in India, people will not go to counselors, but they'll go to everybody else. They'll go to an astrologer, they'll go to hypnotherapist because they still hesitate going to a counselor. No, please go to a coach and counselor. I learned all this so that I can invite you to come and take counseling because these are not divinations. These are modalities for counseling. So please be powerful enough to recognize that and say, I need your help. I need help.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And today, viewers, you have seen how the experts have given very, very clear thing that please don't put the pressure on your child. And very nicely they said the child has bought you, made you the parents. You don't think that you are owning the child. And what Professor Salam said, that very, very clearly the child should be given the freedom, because we should not try to having a one-man upship and we are just putting pressure because of the to show off our own whims and wishes, and because of our nuclear family, because of the development, all these things. One should not try to bully the child by putting pressure. Yes, we should not leave them. We should observe their activities. If they are going wrong, we must correct them. But to correct them also, there should be a proper way, not just to put pressure or make them guilty that if you can't see what the others are doing, you are not doing. So that type of parenting should not be there. And I'm sure that today's our program is quite enlightening. Now it depends on our own, ourselves, civil society. After all, the child, again, we will say, belongs to us and we belongs to child. We have both the things, and you treat them as your friend, and then only your child can show something, whether good or bad, but in a very big way. And that is what we require, that a child should develop either in a sports or the studies or whichever activity they can go, they should go. Only thing is you have to control if they are going on a wrong direction. That is the only correction you require. Otherwise, as Professor Salam also said, that provide the fees, provide them the food and the clothing and good moral values, which is very much required. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se Samvad Sarocar News, Bharat Post News, as well as was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor in our evening program of Kal Aaj aur Kal Lal Goel ke Sang, to bring one personality who is a role model in their own lifetime. And today my chief guest is Mr. Pawan Kumar Mishra. He's a renowned author, transpersonal coach, mentor, practicing Vedic astrologer and Vastu consultant. He's joining me. He's from Rishikesh and Noida. He stays both the places. They have an ashram at Rishikesh and he stays in Noida. So please tune in for Kal Aaj aur Kal Lal Goel ke Sang at 4:30 p.m. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. M. Abdul Salam. Thank you very much, Ms. Karishma Chhatrapati. And thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Although we missed you, but you have sent kind enough to send us your voice recording. And thank you all the viewers for watching our show. And I am hopeful that out of today's outcome of our media conference, even if you will change a bit, the child will be doing excel in everything. Thank you very much. And thank you all the viewers.
Thank you.